Well, I want to say thank you for joining me for another session. Um, I'm just very grateful that you're willing to help me out with this and my interviewing course. I just want to remind you with confidentiality things before we get started.
Mm-hmm.
I told you about last week how these sessions I would like to record them and be able to send them to
Mm-hmm.
my instructor.
Yeah.
Um, and the same thing applies this last week. If you don't want this shared at all, we can delete
Mm-hmm.
it and it won't be shared with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Anything like that. And if you have any more questions, you can feel free to just ask them whenever you feel like it, or if you just want to stop at any point,
Mm-hmm.
you can let me know too. So,
Okay.
are there any questions before we get started?
No.
Okay. So we talked last week, and you
Mm-hmm.
said that you had some conflicts with work.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned an issue that you had with your boss and
Mm-hmm.
some of the policies that she had in regards to your clients or the people that you work with. Can
Mm-hmm.
you go into further detail about that?
Yeah. Like our company's policy says that we're supposed to treat our listen or our clients gently, and we can't really force them to do anything. We can't really be verbal in
Mm-hmm.
anything. We can't force them to do something they don't want to. But my boss does that like almost every day. Um, she will raise her voice to the clients and yell at them, tell them they need to do stuff now, and it's like we're not allowed, we're not supposed to, and we're not even allowed to do those things. But like they need to get stuff done, but if they don't want to, I guess it's not our place to force them to do it.
Right.
So like it happens quite a bit, but.
So it sounds like there's a bit of frustration here with you and your boss, and it's mainly on your side, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever
Yeah.
had?
Well, there's a little frustration from my boss's side because
Okay.
sometimes I'm like verbal about it, and like when the consumer is like having a hard time because they are being yelled at, told what to do, they'll come to me for comfort, and I'll give them comfort because that's my job. And then she'll be like, "You are not. You can't do that because it
Mm,
totally negates what she's been trying to do, which is force them to do something that they're supposed to do, but they don't really want to. But like, I think it's my job to comfort them if they need comfort. So if
right.
they need a hug, I'm gonna give them a hug. You can't tell me not to do that because that's how I work. And if you're gonna say I can't tell you how to work, then you're not gonna tell me how I can work.
Right.
So it's kind of like both. We end up getting sometimes frustrated with each other. So.
So there is a bit of conflict between the two of you. Has that
Mm-hmm.
ever happened? Has there ever been a falling out between the two of you where you've maybe had to confront your boss with any kind of issues, or has there been like any kind of backlash
Well,
between
she
you and
is
your
my
boss?
boss. So really, all that just normally she just will tell me straight up, like, you can't, don't do this because this is bad, and then I just kind of disagree. But we kind of like agree to disagree because like she knows I'm not gonna change the way I treat our consumers, and I'm trying not to accept, but kind of understand that this is how she's been working for several years, and she's probably not going to change her ways either.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you two kind of have an understanding that just with working with one another, that's kind of how things have to be. Is that
yeah, but I don't want to see that as a thing. It shouldn't be one of those things that has to be. She should be on my side because I'm on the side of our company who says we can't force them to do stuff, who is very kind and gentle in every all of the teachings that we have. Um, it's just like I think I know I'm in the right, so I'm not going to change what I'm doing. But she's in the wrong, but she won't change what she's doing. And since she's my boss, I can't really, you know, fix her.
kind of a you have kind of
Yeah.
an issue with stepping up to somebody in leadership?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Mm. So let's go back to what you talked about last week with this specific patient,
Mm-hmm.
and how from what I remember, you said that your boss had yelled at this. It was a man, I believe. And instead of doing it in a loving way, she kind of lashed out at this man and told him that because he didn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Can you just go into further detail about that?
I mean, like, it happened again this week. We were at the library, and she's like, I can't say names, but she was just kind of like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to take you here, and you're not going to be able to get books if you don't listen and do this stuff right. And I'm like, she's doing this in a library. And it's just like she's verbally yelling at this consumer of ours that we're not supposed to be yelling at or doing anything mean to in this library because he's accidentally dropping books on the ground. And it might be, he probably was doing it on purpose. But, like, that's not something we should be yelling at for. Like, they have disabilities. Like, so we have to live with their disabilities, not get mad at them for it when they mess up. And so, like, she was threatening the consumer to not let him get a book if he continued to do bad, like mess up. And so it's like, no way. That's not what we do. We can't threaten them.
It doesn't seem like a very loving way to do that, and that seems to be
it's not our company's policy.
And it sounds like that's the thing that's bothering you the most, is not acting in a loving way. You know, because I think you've mentioned in the past that she gets results done, but you feel like they could have been more effective, and she could have been more effective as she's working with them.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that bothers
like,
you.
The thing with me is, like, there's days that I work by the consumers by myself, and we get all this stuff, same stuff done in the same time constraints, but I don't do it with any yelling. I always encourage him, talk about how he's like Superman, because he loves Superman. And so, like, when I say he's a hard worker and I reinforce the aspects that I want to see, he does those things. Like, there will be days that I say he's a hard worker, and all of a sudden, all the dishes will be done. I'm like, who the heck did this? And the consumer will come up and be like, I did the dishes. And I'll just reinforce, man, you're such a hard worker, you're doing so good. And then he'll continue to want that praise, so then he continues to do the hard work.
Just motivates him.
And so, like, I do it that way, but my boss will have the same, like, shift that I have, but she's like, get it done now, because I don't know whether it's because she's been there for forever or what. It's just like she's just short and down to grit, and she's just like kind of finished with like patience. He's like, I'm gonna get my way, but then they like kind of do it slowly because they don't want to do it. They feel like they're being forced to do it, so they don't do it. Like, my boss is always like, I always get like 15 to 30 minutes late every night. I'm like, I always get out on time every night.
And it has something to do with how she treats.
I think it's because how she treats them, and like, there's rarely ever days that she doesn't get angry. So like, I see why there's rarely any days she'd get out early or on time. For her, for me, it's like I get out on time every day, where she's always usually like out late. So, I mean, I think like our company's policy works, but like, there's a way to do it, and she refuses to do it because she's so set in her old ways.
Sure.
So we need her to just peel over.
So let's say that
just kidding.
You were to walk into work tomorrow
and
have a perfect conversation. Let's assume that you can talk to your boss right now, say whatever you need to say, and she will hear every word of it and she'll take it to heart. What is it that you would hope to say to her?
Well, I'd say, like, you can get results without being forceful, without having to, like, burden or threaten people. Like, you can do it just by being kind and honest and everything. Because like some days I'll be at work and people or consumers are goofing off, and I'm like, guys, I've been having a rough day. Can you help me out? And they help out because I'm honest and I'm kind with them. And so you don't have to be so grumpy all the time and angry and threatening when you can just be kind and encouraging and understanding. Um, so like and you can change. Um, like no one's stopping you but you. You're the one who needs to make this decision. Because really, I can't do much about it.
Something that could possibly happen in the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
Would you say that your frustration with your job, does that translate to whenever you go home, when you are going to class? Do you think the frustration carries over, or is it something that you keep at work?
You keep it at work. I have too much stuff in my schedule to worry about it outside of work.
Prioritizing yourself.
Yeah, I have a lot of things I have to get done, so I usually just keep all my work stuff at work.
So, would you say with these problems at work, would you say that you feel more stressed or would you feel more angry? Because it sounds like there's a mixture of both of them, but what would you say would be the stronger emotion?
Um, like, like for the consumers or for myself or
Put yourself in the work situation and you being there, because you've told me in the past that you enjoy your job and you think that you do a really good job. It's just this stressful situation, this one thing that can make you both stressed and angry. How would you describe your emotion?
Well, I'd say it's like it's not completely angry, but like I get like upset with how she does things. Like, because when she yells at some one person, who's usually the same person, everybody's like days and habits and thoughts change. Like, we could be having a fun conversation, she yell, and all of a sudden nobody talks for like 40 minutes. It's like you're setting everybody on edge, not just yourself. So it's like more of thoughts of concern come into my mind, and so like it's not like stressful because the days that like I have short shifts when I work with her, and the days I have by myself is like a really long shift, so I don't have to work with her on the long days. I would imagine if I did though, that it could get stressful. But I just have to deal with her at short periods of time. So like I don't get stressed out about it. I get upset because I see how it affects our consumers, and not just the one who already gets upset and sad and needs comfort from me, but also like the other consumers that aren't even getting yelled at, like they're afraid to speak because they're afraid if they say something wrong they could get yelled at. They don't want to mess up.
Her presence seems to change the atmosphere of the place, and when she's not there, it's definitely a different environment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's a conflicting issue, especially considering that she's your boss.
So going up, you know, I can't really go up above my boss.
It tends to be very difficult.
Yeah. So.
Gotcha. Well, hey, I want to say thank you again for coming in,
Yeah.
and sharing what you have. Hopefully, the next time that we talk, some of the other issues can be resolved. Do you have any more questions for me about the confidentiality of this, and before we release the tape? Again, I'm just going to share it with my instructors and nobody else.
No, I'm good.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.